Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Meta-Morph, where today we are going to be tackling something we very near and dear to my heart. We're going to be covering Blackwings. So Blackwings are a fan favorite deck that has gotten support for years. This deck came out in 2009. Over the last 13 years, this deck's gotten support over and over and over again. The most recent wave of support, though, is really beneficial for the new Synchro monsters that are coming out, as well as supporting the Blackwing Dragon. So Blackwing Dragon is one of the 6 Signer Dragons. Initially wasn't supposed to be one, but ended up becoming one because Crow was that much of a fan favorite. To put this in perspective, Blackwings have more support in their archetype than I believe any of the 3 types that are played by the main character in this set, or in this the series. It was my first competitive deck. I have a very near and dear place in my heart for this deck. So I decided, for our Meta-Morph, we're getting close to Darkwing Blast. Let's start covering some Darkwing Blast decks. So we're gonna go over the deck list here in just a second, and we also have a replay against a future topic of ours, which is ninjas. So today we're going to go over this. I'll go over it card by card and explain the ratios and what different effects do. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the plan for this deck is it's basically going to be all gas as much as we possibly can. So put all gas with a little asterisk. We are playing a few hand traps just because we have the time, we have the space, and we have the necessity to. We also have cards in the extra deck that could be other things. But these are going off the ratios that I was testing and that I ended up really enjoying. So to start off, we have one of the newer Blackwings. By newer, I mean this thing's 4 years old by now. So we have Simoom, the Poison Wind. Simoom lets you banish a Blackwing in your hand to activate a Black Whirlwind to your field and then normal summon this card without tributing. What's nice about this is that it doesn't count towards your normal summon. So meaning that you can use this effect if you control no other monsters. You can banish a Blackwing from your hand, normal summon this card, get a search, and then whatever you search can normal summon and get another search off of that as well. It's a mostly gas build, yes. Up next we have 2 Bora the Spear. I was initially testing this at 3, but then I realized that we're going to be doing a lot more normal summoning than we are special summoning. Bora's just a fantastic body though. It's not a hard once per turn, which means you can continuously special this card, which can come up. It's also a piercer, so in times where you need to just get in, or you're trying to clear a board, Bora can do that and deal a little bit of damage at the same time. Up next, we have one of the newest Blackwings. So we have Sutri, the Illusionary Spark. So when this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand, except itself. What's really nice about this card is that it is not a once per turn, meaning that if you can normal summon this card multiple times, you can get multiple searches. Its other effect is you can tribute 1 monster, special summon 1 Illusionary Spark token, which is going to be a Winged Beast Tuner, Dark level 2, and then you take 700 damage. The caveat with this card, though, is that you're locked into Synchro Summoning for the rest of the turn. Oh, sorry, you cannot special summon anything but Synchro monsters for the turn. We have 1 Chris the Crack of Dawn, another kind of newer card. This is one of the Blackwings that's never been in the anime, so it ties in very well. It's never in the anime or the manga, I believe. It's what we call a gold rare card. It's from one of the, not original gold rare sets, but one of the ones from around 2014. So if you control another Blackwing, special summon this card from your hand once per turn. It's a free summon, it's a 1900 body, so if you open up this and Whirlwind and that's all you have, you can definitely get some plays going that way. And then once per turn, can't be destroyed by spell trap effects. It's not it's a good one-off body. Up next, we have 2 of probably my favorite main deck Blackwing monster, which is Zephyros the Elite. So Zephyros, for those of you guys who don't know, was limited and banned for a very long time. It's very good in multiple decks. It's even seeing play in some tier builds right now. What it does, it allows you to return a card to your hand, special summon this card, and then take 400 damage. So not only does it get you a body on field from the graveyard, but in this deck's case scenario, you can bounce a Black Whirlwind or our other new spell that we're going to be talking about. And then you can immediately activate it again. It also gets around the burn effect of Simoom, so you're not going to lose the Whirlwind if you're worried about that. You can actually just bounce the Whirlwind that Simoom set, so you can have that continuously on field. And 1,000 damage won't come your way. Up next, we have 3 of the newest level 4 tuners. So this is Shamal, the Sandstorm. Shamal is more of a searcher than anything else. That's why it's a 3 of in here. So what it does is lets you send it from your hand or field to the graveyard to search the new spell, which is going to be Black Feather Whirlwind, and immediately place it in your scale. So you can't be Ash, which is really nice. Additionally, if you synchro summon a Blackwing Synchro monster or a Blackwing Dragon, a special summon to your field while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish it, special summon a monster from your graveyard with less attack. No, I'm sorry, you can banish one Blackwing, banish this card and target one Blackwing monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand, then take a 700 damage. The 700 damage is actually tied in really well with the Blackwing Dragon. It's a 7/7/7 kind of thing. So that's why these 2 new cards have that effect. Interestingly, they both also make Blackwing Dragon, which is really nice. We have a 1 of Gale the Whirlwind. This card used to be a staple 3 in Blackwings, but we're less worried now about making 7s. We're more worried about making 8s and 6s. So this is more of just a 1 of that you can go into to get to your Hawk Joe or your Raikiri if needed. Again, it's also a free body you can get at half something. So if you're worried about trying to out a big boy monster, you can use this to half that attack and try to get over it that way. 1 Harmanitan. Harmanitan lets you, if you control another Blackwing, special summon this card. And then if this card is normal or special, you can target 1 other Blackwing monster you control and increase this card's level by that monster. So if we have Harmanitan and we have, let's say, Shamal for a second. So if you have Shamal on field, special summon Harmanitan. Harmanitan can target Shamal and gain 4 levels, so it'll be a level 6, and you can make a level 10 synchro that way. Up next, we have the newest one off the ban list. We have Steam the Cloak as a 1 of. So if this card leaves the field, special summon 1 Steam token. If this card is in your graveyard, you can tribute 1 monster, special summon this card from your graveyard. So you can tribute any monster to special summon this card back from your grave. It's seeing play in tier right now because it's a level 3 tuner, which can get you into some plays moving forward. It's also just a phenomenal card. And you can only use the effect once per turn. And then if this card is used as synchro material, all other synchro monsters must be Blackwing monsters. So again, you can go into your Hawk Joe this way. You can go into potentially other plays as well. But you're mostly using this to try to modulate your levels. And then we have 2 Orochi the Squall. So this is just a level 1 tuner you're going to be summoning. It's the smallest attack in the deck. Or second smallest, I should say. And it lets you special summon it, and then if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target 1 monster on the field and change that target's battle position. It can come up if your opponent's playing really defensively. You can force them to make an attack position monster and out it that way. But mostly we're going to use it because it's a level 1 tuner. And then we have 3 Vata the Knave. So if you control a Blackwing monster other than itself, you can special summon this card. You can only use the effect once per turn. They learn their lesson. During your main phase, you can send this card from your field you can send this card on the field and 1 or more Blackwing non-tuner monsters from your deck to the graveyard whose total level equals exactly 8 and synchro summon 1 Blackwing Dragon. You're very rarely going to use this effect. It can come up. If you need to send a Samum and synchro off that way, it can come up, but most of the time it's really not going to. But the fact that it's a level 2 tuner is huge because it helps us get into our 4s, 6s, and 8s a lot easier. Or should I say 6, 8s, and 10s a lot easier. And it also locks you into Darks if you use that effect. So does Shurathi. So Dark Synchro is going to be the name of the game. We are playing 1 non-Dark Synchro in Baron de Fleur, but that's mostly just because it's Baron and we need to play Baron. Our last one is Chinook the Snowstrike. I can't believe they didn't change this card's name. So you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, send 1 Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwing Dragon from your X deck to the graveyard, and if you do, until the end of this turn, the targeted monster loses 700 attack. Also, its effects are negated, and it becomes a quick effect if you control a Dark Synchro monster. So essentially, it's a Veiler that helps set up other cards too. It's a searchable Veiler. And then we have our spells. So we have 3 Black Whirlwind. Probably one of the best cards ever printed in this game. It literally changed the way the game is played. You normal summon, you get to search a Blackwing with less attack. The new one is Black Feather Whirlwind. So once per turn, if you synchro summon a Dark Synchro monster from the extra deck, you can target 1 of your Blackwing monsters or Blackwing Dragons with a lower attack that is banished or in your graveyard and special summon it. Once per turn, if a dark monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 Black Feather counter from the field instead. So I was talking to Luan about this the other day. Blackwings have 4 different counter mechanisms, as well as 4 different token mechanisms. Their main one is Black Feather. but there are a couple others that we can talk about. But Black Feather Counters is kind of the big one. The fact that Full Armor also and Blackwing Dragon both also enable Black Feather Counters, as well as Assault Dragon also enables counters, is really huge. And then we have one of the new trap. I'm debating bumping this to 2. I probably should. But Twin Shadow, Twin Shadow lets you return 2 of your Blackwing monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to the deck or extra deck, specifically 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner, and special summon 1 Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck, whose levels equal exactly that total monster's level, and it's treated as a Synchro summon. If you control 2 or more Blackwing monsters, you can activate this card from your hand. So it's what I like about a lot of the Blackwing spells and traps is that you can just use them from hand, and it enables further plays with this. So if you're in a situation where you need to get another body on field, you can use the Twin Shadow from your hand on your own turn to go into another Synchro that way as well. Blackbird Close is a tech that I'm playing. A lot of Blackwing builds aren't playing this, but I don't understand why. So when a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, you can send 1 face-up Blackwing monster you control to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Then you can special summon 1 Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck. If you control a Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwing Dragon, you can use this card from your hand. So both of these are essentially hand traps that you can use if you control Blackwing Synchros, or Blackwing cards. This one needs specifically a Synchro, this one requires 2 just Blackwing monsters. For the non-Blackwing cards we're playing 2 Magnamut and 1 Druid Worm. They're also level 6 Darks, which can help. But they're mostly in here to interrupt tier plays. The fact that you can banish a Dark or a Light from your opponent's graveyard as a quick effect is really nice. Magnamut can get you into search into Druid Worm, and then when Druid Worm leaves the field by any means, you get to pop a card on the field. So these interact really nicely, especially with the modern meta being very heavy with Dark and Light, more heavy on the Dark than the Light. These are very, very nice. Then we have 3 Pot of Prosperity. This could be something else as well. It could be more hand traps. It could be a lot of different things. But I like the Prosperity because you really want to get to your Simoom as fast as you can. If you can't get to Simoom, you want to see Whirlwind. 1 Call by the Grave because you need to. And then Triple Imperm is just one of the better hand traps this format. Except with the exception of maybe like Flunderees, but for the most part, this is really, really nice. This deck also can combat that deck really well too, Flunder, because we can normal summon multiple times. And that's it for the main deck. Like I said, there are a few things we could change. We could go like an all-gas build and just cut the Prosperities, cut the Magnamut and Druid Worm, and just play 6 more monsters. But I like the balance here. For the extra deck, so the extra is a little contentious. There are some other things that you could play. Up first, I do have 2 of the Assault Dragon. 1 Tuner Synchro and 1 non-tuner monster. So it must be either Synchro Summon or Special Summon by banishing 1 Tuner Synchro monster and 1 Blackwing Dragon from your field or graveyard. Does not have to be matching levels, does not have to equal 10, you just have to have those requirements. Each time your opponent activates a monster effect, you can place 1 Black Feather counter on this card, and immediately after it resolves, and do inflict 700 damage to them. It's really good. You're going to burn that way too. We have a match we're going to show you where I end up burning Luan, I don't know how many times. And then during your opponent's turn, you can, if this card has 4 or more Black Feather counters, you can destroy all other cards on the field. It's a board wipe as well. There are plays where I could end with Assault Dragon and Full Armor Master, which essentially is I'm going to clear your board. I'm going to clear both of our boards of everything except Full Armor Master and Blackwing Assault Dragon. Sorry, all cards except for Armor Master, because Armor Master is unaffected by card effects. And then we have 2 Blackwing Dragon. I honestly want to bump this to 3. I just don't know what I'd cut for the other one. Its effects don't really matter. It prevents you from taking burn damage, which can come up. And it loses 700 attack per time. And then you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, then loses 700 attack for each Black Feather counter you remove from this card. So you can remove all your feather counters, and that monster will lose 700 attack per. And then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack lost by this effect. So if your opponent brings out a big 4K beater, you can use this effect, remove all the feather counters that you may have on it, and potentially burn your opponent for quite a bit. Full Armor Master is just one of the best cards in the game. It's unaffected by other card effects, period. Each time an opponent monster activates its effect, place 1 wedge counter on that opponent's monster, maximum 1. So this is what I was talking about with the 2 different feather counters. We have feather counters and we have wedge counters. Wedge counters are more of an armor master thing. We have full armor and the regular armor master who use these, versus feather counters, which are more obviously for the dragons. So once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls with a wedge counter, take control of it, and then once per turn during your end phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field that have a wedge counter. So it can be a board wipe or a steal, which is very nice. It doesn't say you can't use the effect, doesn't say you can't attack, it just says take control of it. Raikiri and Hawk Joe are our 7s. We'll get to those in just a second. Silverwind. So previous to this, Silverwind had kind of been a problem card to summon. It requires one tuner and one Blackwing tuner and 2 or more non-tuner monsters. This can be a bit of an issue because there's just 8's a very hard number to get with 3 cards, and it's a lot of resources to invest in this. If this card's synchro summon, you can target up to 2 face-up monsters on the field with a defense lower than this card's attack, which does happen quite a bit, being at 2800. And destroy those targets. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. During each of your opponent's turns, the first time a Blackwing monster you control will be destroyed by battle, it's not destroyed. This combos extremely well with the new trap. So Twin Shadow lets you shuffle back a tuner and a non-tuner to effectively synchro summon without synchro summoning. So that means I can put back, for example, a Shamal and a Shurithi or a Bora and make a level 8. I can go into the Silverwind without having to use 3 materials, instead using just 2. And not only that, but I'm using them from Grave and Banish instead. And that turns into a 2 pops on your opponent's turn, which is very nice. Raikiri. So we are playing 2 level 7s. There are times where both of these do come up. Raikiri says that this card's synchro summon using a Blackwing monster's material. It's treated as a tuner. Very important for the Assault Dragon plays. It does not have to be a tuner though, which is nice. So it can treat itself as a tuner, it can not treat itself as a tuner, depending on what you use. It's going to be a tuner more times in this deck because, again, all Blackwings. Once per turn, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of Blackwing monsters you control, destroy them. So, for example, if you go full house and play 5 monsters with Raikiri on the field, you can pop 5 cards on the field, and that's just very nice. It at least forces your opponent to respond. Then we have Hawk Joe. Hawk Joe was one of my favorite synchro for a long time until we got full armor master. So Hawk Joe lets you target a level 5 or higher winged beast monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Does not have to be a Blackwing. However, it does need Blackwing tuner and non-tuners. But it lets you summon back any level 5 or higher winged beast from your grave. When your opponent activates a card effect, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card, or when your opponent targets this card for an attack, quick effect, you can target one other Blackwing monster you control that would be an appropriate target. That card slash effect slash attack now targets that new target. If they try to spot removal this with whatever, you can switch it over and make it target Full Armor Master instead, and Full Armor Master is just unaffected. It does come up, like I said, you're mostly using this though for the Reborn effect, and it helps you get further into your plays. Onto the 6s. So the 6s actually make this deck much better to play. Nathung gets you an additional normal, and then when it's special summoned, you can just burn your opponent for 800. So if you're ever in a situation in time with this deck, you can go 4 plus 2, that's 6. You could burn your opponent for 800 right there for free, and that's game. The additional normal is really what you're playing this for, though. The fact that you get additional normal means additional searches off of Whirlwind, and additional searches potentially off of Shurithi, which is why we're playing 3 of this card. The new synchro is Boreas the Evil Wind. Requires a Dark Tuner and 1 non-tuner monster. This card's synchro summon, you can send 1 Blackwing monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes that monster's. This is the reason why we're playing double Zephyros, because Zephyros is more than likely going to be our target to send. The reason we're playing 2 is in case we open one, we can use the other one for whatever reason we may need to, and then we can dump the other one to get the effect. And then when this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can banish 1 Blackwing monster from your field or graveyard, special summon the destroyed monster to your field in defense position. Essentially, it is Goyo Guardian, but it's a Blackwing, and the fact that you get to dump. We're going to show some plays with Boreas where you get to dump and then synchro off with it. You jump a 4, it becomes a level 2 synchro tuner. Plays really well with Assault Dragon that way. And then for our non-Blackwing synchros, we're playing, again, the 1 Baron. Baron doesn't come up that often, but it can. The ones we're more likely to go into here are Hot Red Dragon, Archfiend Abyss. So earlier when I talked about the Orochi the Squall being a level 1 tuner, you can synchro this with the Blackwing Dragon and make Hot Red Abyss that way, so it's a free negate. Void Ogre is really good if you're playing against those pesky back row decks. And while you have no cards in hand, you can negate and destroy. And then Berserker is just a really good level 8 synchro that doesn't require links in the graveyard. The fact that it gets to banish a monster and it can really put in some big damage is very nice. And this is our list for the upcoming Blackwings out of Darkwing Blast. Be sure to let us know what you think in the comments, any changes you would make. All input is greatly appreciated. We also have we have a replay to go over here. Lawan, if you're still there, I know I've been talking a lot, but if you'd like to help, that'd be great.
I am here, yes.
This is not what I saved. That's your list.
No, that is not mine. That is the updated list.
So this is our replay. We tested Blackwings versus Ninjas yesterday. So I do end up winning the dice roll, and I get to go first. What's important here is that I don't open any access to Whirlwind, so it means I have to kind of just play with what I have. So Shamal is going to get us the Feather Whirlwind. I'm going to normal summon Shurithi. It gets ashed. That's fine. I'm going to special summon the Vata in hand, and I'm going to synchro for 6 into Boreas. So Boreas is going to trigger, Feather Whirlwind's going to trigger, as well as the Shamal. So Shamal is going to add us back to Shurithi. We're going to special back the Vata, and we're going to dump the Zephyros. We're going to Zephyros, bounce the Black Feather Whirlwind because it's not once per turn. Synchro for 6 into Nathung. Nathung's going to be Chainlink 1. Again, Whirlwind Chainlink 2. Summon back that Vata again. We're going to make the Shurithi here, and we're going to add the Twin Shadow. So now we have both the traps in hand, which is really nice. And we're going to Synchro for 8. I end up making the Blackwing Dragon because it's very good. I end up going to make something else different here. I do remember changing this. Again, this is just testing, so forgive us. We're not experts with these decks yet. I instead decide to Synchro Summon. This is actually an illegal summon. I should have banished these instead. It would have been the same result. And then I'm going to set the Twin Shadow. During my opponent's turn, I'm going to just quick Synchro, and I'm going to make Full Armor Master. It's very hard to out. That'll trigger the Whirlwind to summon back the Blackwing Dragon. I have Blackbird Close in hand, which is very nice here. He's going to continue to summon monsters and burn. He's going to go Ninjutsu Art to set. Synchro, go into Hot Red. Force the Imperm. Hot Red's going to actually force the out and negate. We're going to get a summon back off of the Whirlwind to go into Nathung, which we're going to Synchro again into 8 to actually make the Berserker here. Soul and Luna is going to book a moon and reflip. Soul and Luna is actually a very interesting card, especially in Ninjas. Lawan, do you want to explain this tech card?
Oh, it's fantastic. The moment your ninjas get flipped, they gain their effects. So you book a moon to one of their monsters, and you flip one of yours, and you gain your effects.
Right. So then I'm just going to go Battle Phase here. I'm forced to attack off of Siza, so I'm forced to attack the monsters it points to first. So instead, I will just attack, and then attack in for 1200. And then, yeah, he just kind of passes on that. I have way too much board established. It's going to be very hard to out. He does decide to go first here. And I do have access to the Whirlwind line now, which is really nice. So we see a normal summon. And he has Ash, Upstart Golden Ninja. I do Imperm the Upstart to prevent him from going further. I do go for the Simoon play, banishing the Bora to get the Whirlwind.
I do end up misplaying my turn 1.
Yeah,
so
he should have activated the Ninjutsu book art because it would have. I did control a card, so he could have just bam summoned a free monster. In the long run, we talked about this, but we don't really think it would have made a huge difference. I'm going to grab Gale here. So this is one of those weird times where I'm going to have to make some level 7 synchros. We're going to normal summon the Shurithi, trigger Whirlwind. We're going to get 2 searches off of this. Interestingly, Shurithi can search any card that mentions Blackwing Dragon, which will include our tuners. So we have Shamal, and we're going to add Vata off the Whirlwind. So we may not have been able to search the Shamal off the normal summon of Shurithi, but we sure can search it off of the fact that it mentions Blackwing Dragon specifically. And then we're going to try to half the attack of Upstart. We're going to get Soul and Luna. He does hit our level 2 tuner, which is unfortunate, but the fact now that we have that level 3 tuner, which changes some things. So we're going to Synchro 7 into Hawk Joe. This will trigger Whirlwind, and it'll trigger a few other things as well. We're actually going to Surethy Tribute itself. I probably should have tributed the set card to get a token that's a level 2 tuner. Make the Boreas here. It'll trigger Surethy, adding back the Gale to hand. We're going to dump the Zephyros. Zephyros bouncing, again, that Black Feather Whirlwind. He's just showing me they had the Ninjutsu art. I'm going to make full Armor Master, and then again, we're going to bam into the Assault Dragon. We brought back the Samum, so that's a 4 plus... I'm sorry. Yeah. A 4 plus a 6 is a 10. And we get in for big damage. Not quite lethal. I probably should have Twin Shadowed here and just made another Synchro and gone for game. That's something, again... This was testing. We both had games, like... We both had things we misplayed in this game, so that's definitely something I should have done. He's going to start trying to pop stuff. That's fine. My Assault Dragon gets popped. Twin Shadow. I'm going to Synchro for 10. Bam. I'll make another one. And then Armor Master gets destroyed. I should have used the Whirlwind counters. And then we get what's interesting here is that if there are 2 Assault Dragons on the field, the moment one of yours triggers and the other one triggers, if one triggers while the other one triggers, it's going to start an infinite loop potentially, or an infinite response, meaning that you could potentially burn your opponent out this way. But this
and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. This is our Blackwing deck for Darkwing Blast. Again, this is definitely something I want to revisit later on. I want to put some more testing into this, and I want to see what it can be moving forward. But I want to thank you all for joining us for this video. If you do like the content we're creating, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you all back here next time.